To unlock this title, you need to win a duel without normal summoning. This is probably one of the easiest secret missions in the game, for 2 reasons. First of all, you only need 1 win to complete the mission. Second, with the special summoning being so common in today's game, you might accidentally unlock this mission without even trying. To give myself extra challenge, I decided to experiment with a burn deck that doesn't summon monsters at all, normal or special. Chain Burn deck is another deck almost as old as Yu-Gi-Oh itself. Normally, you would try to load your back row with many cards that can be activated in a single chain, and a final card in your elaborate chain is usually Chain Strike. However, Chain Strike is an ultra-rare card and I didn't want to craft it just for this deck. This deck has 3 ultra-rare and 7 super-rare cards. All ultra-rares are the cards I already had, as are 4 super-rares. I did craft for this deck 3 copies of Accumulated Fortune, a super rare card. Other than that, all cards I crafted for this deck are rare. Dynamorphier deck is hilariously mismatched against a burn deck. Dynamorphier deck relies on utilizing effects that reduce their own life points, and in exchange they gain powerful monster effects. It can be a viable strategy against some decks, but it is a terrible idea against a deck that doesn't care if your monsters are powerful. The damage is not coming from the monster zones. I still have 2 monsters in this deck, 2 copies of Maxx. Of course, they are not to be summoned, only to be used as hand traps. I would actually prefer if he gave me a few extra cards to use on my next turn. But if this just slows down the opponent from building a powerful board that can kill me, that helps too. An unusual duel. After I hit my opponent really hard with 1 ring of destruction, he was afraid to summon his boss monsters. So he tried to nibble me to death with smaller hits, and was probably waiting to draw something to help him deal with my traps. The joke is on him. My deck can still slowly unload damage on him, even if he is afraid to expose his big monsters. Note how well good Goblin housekeeping combos with emergency provisions. The effect of Good Goblin Housekeeping counts the number of copies of this card already in your graveyard when the effect resolves, then draws that number +1. If you send it to the graveyard by activating emergency provisions later on the chain, you not only gain extra life points, but also give your Good Goblin Housekeeping additional draw power, because it will count itself in the graveyard when the effect resolves. Here is the deck. As previously mentioned, it does have 2 monsters, not for summoning, but to be used as hand traps, 2 copies of Maxx. There are synchro monsters in the extra deck, but they are only meant as fodder for the Pot of Extravagance. 1 copy of the Messenger of Peace, to slow down my opponent if he has difficulty dealing with my back row. In case I do get attacked, Dimension Wall protects me and unloads the damage on my opponent instead. Defense Draw also protects me and increases my draw power. The rest of the cards are there to unload effect damage on the opponent, and to create longer chains for the reusable effects of chain healing, chain detonation, and more draw power from accumulated fortune. I'm sure there are better versions of a burn deck out there, but this fulfills the mission, while preserving my ultra rare and super rare crafting points for better things. For the flip side, here is someone else getting an unfathomable win at my expense, while I play the Millennium Exodia deck. This is actually rather similar to how I earned this achievement myself. After the opponent activated Maxx, I decided I will only summon 1 monster, the unstoppable Exodia Incarnate itself. The opponent baits me into negating the effect of the Widow Anchor. Once I use the monster effect, he can activate Triple Tactics Thrust and search out Change of Heart. He then one-shots me with my own monster, without any summoning.